Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about Ssangsu Geombup Palbon, Form 8, Part 1. Spiel, I'm wearing this uniform not because the form itself is different from how I've learned it, but because of my interpretations, commentary, all that fun stuff is mostly my own. And again, if it deviates from anything, I'll let you know. But again, usual spiel, you know it by now. So let's take a look at the beginning of Form 8. Now, if you learned the form 20 years ago and you're seeing it now, you're going to be like, what did they do? Right? So this form has changed quite a lot since at least the way I learned it initially. That doesn't mean that the form itself changed from its source. Maybe, again, whoever taught it to me learned from someone who learned it differently or whatever, but historically this has changed a lot, right? So I'm going to show you some of the things that were in it that I found fun and festive, right? But then going back into what is more universally accepted, right? So originally, right, someone on my 45, feeling sassy, right, attacking me. The idea was, again, breaking a seal. You would actually hit the person first, stun them. It doesn't stun them, but hit them, and then you would cut them, and again, move off to another person, right? It was just a very satisfying movement to be like, bah! Right, and then move on to something else. That does still exist. That is in Ghetto 6, but it has been offshot to a much later form, right? That is the 19th form, for those of you who want to wait another 11 forms to do that move, right? But let's take a look at what we're doing now, right? So the intention, and this is, as I understand, to be what is supposed to be accepted, right, is two people, right? So instead of moving off on an angle that we used to do back in the day, right, I'm going straight on, partial draw, right? So the idea is, and this is more of my interpretation of this interpretation, from this position is usually more likely I would be striking this person, right? My blade's on my left side, they're on my right. I'm gonna have full range of motion, do a cut. That's just more likely, right? Things I'll have to do there, if I don't do the spin in the form, I'll need to maybe do this guy, right? Very reminiscent of the third Haidong form. But if I did do that, my back is fully back to that person, and that's bad, right? We're gonna ignore that because we'll spin, but the idea is having a prolonged back contact, right, is going to be less good. So the theory is, I'm here. He thinks he's going to be attacked, right? So he's more on the defensive. He thinks, he or she, or whatever, right, is going to think that, hey, I'm likely going to attack him or them, right? And therefore should attack me. However, I'm like, haha, I secretly attack you. Really hope it's a one and done because I'm going to turn my back on this person for the rest of the form, right? Here, keep that momentum in for that low guard, right? Now, I like that move because it has like a constant kind of deflection or guard, right? So instead of thinking about cut and then sweepy bit, keep that all in one giant corkscrew. It's going to give you a lot of momentum. You're going to use your back foot as essentially a kickstand, right? You're up and down. You can have a lot more of a wide clearing motion, so that person no longer feels that they're ready to just ambush us, right? Now, small details, right? Which is maybe why you're here, right? So again, partial draw. I'm going to not spin. I'm going to switch my feet because that's how it's going to look there. As you spin, again, I want to bring the butt of the weapon all the way down so that I can use my pinky ring middle. to have a nice, clear upward shot, right? A common mistake is people don't draw down enough, so it's a very, very wide shot this way, or just gets stuck in the scabbard, which is also bad, right? So I'm going to do it this way, right? So I'm here. You're going to turn, blade down, almost skimming the floor. Make your middle cut. Keep that momentum going around, and now face that new direction in our low guard. So that's part one so far. You ever have that friend who everything somehow comes back to that one thing, whether they're obsessed with like kale for whatever reason? So like whenever the opportunity comes up, they discuss kale, right? Or again, whatever obsession they have, it somehow always comes back to it, no matter where you are or what you're doing. This next combination is Gumdo's kale, right? So the upward block, same side crosscut, opposite side diagonal. You're gonna see that, I believe, unless I'm insane, which is already a possibility, you're going to see it in almost every set of forms, right? So we're seeing it here in Ssangsu, we see it in Yedo, we see it in Bangkok. I actually don't know if we do it in those higher forms, but definitely those next three sets all have this combination, right? So that said, right? So the idea is, I'm in low guard, right? So again, this is from the sparring perspective, right? So instead of being in middle guard, where I can essentially deflect in any direction, therefore not limiting what you're gonna do, my sword's down here, you're likely to strike up here, or you're at least associated with I'm likely to strike from here, or maybe one of these angles, right? So the idea is, again, short range. That's what we're hoping for, right? If they're in middle guard, it's actually a pretty weak guard, which is why I hate middle guard. But the idea is I can use my hip, get that tip nice and high, up. I'm going to close the distance as I drop, again, drop elevation, making it a little bit harder to track. Bringing the sword down, hip level, hip being a very obnoxious place to block, right? Cross, right, into a third diagonal. So the receiver got knocked around a little bit, not likely hurt, right, but knocked off. Crosscut is coming towards this side, hip level. My sword's up here. I will likely need to just back off, right? Easiest solution, right? And the one that we're hoping for as we're fighting. Or we could bring the sword down this way, which next move, coming this way, right? So you could also drop down this way, but then you would also, once again, need to keep going on the defensive, or if you're smart, you're going to go on an angle and fully mess up whatever this person's planning. But the first two movements are actually pretty good to lead up to something. They're not great to land actual hits yet, but they're getting the person uncomfortable and backing off, right? So it comes up, drop low, cutting hip, again, sliding closer again, aim for that open side, right? So again, this combination is so prevalent in all of the Gumdo forms. So get used to it, right? We're gonna have that combination in our next part of the form as well, but it's a good one, it's an easy one, and it's just a weird one, right? So have some fun with that. One final point on that before I close this one, because it's a relatively short introduction. It's a relatively short form, actually. One thing I want to impress upon you as you go through this combination is don't just use your arms. Now I know that seems a little counterintuitive, right? But if you only use your wrists here, look how small that motion is, right? That's including, so this is a longer sword, right? That is not likely to, first of all, make the person scared or react to you. I want you to think about using your hip as much as you can and using your whole body to do each of these strikes, right? So instead of just being, right, like a little cat batting something out of the air, I want you to get your hip behind it, smack it up, right? Drop low, use your hip, use your shoulder, the big chunky swing, throw the microphone to the ground, and then you're going to step one more time, go all the way over your shoulder, right? Nice big arcing dive. Microphone was behaving all day so far, but it chose that moment. Anyway, but that's the idea. Again, use your whole body, again, to push your advantage on someone and also have stronger, bigger, better technique. But with that, make sure you stay safe, stay humble, and keep training.